All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. Ron Cook is also here with me, and if you need a roof, make sure you call Ireland Contracting. They're the best in the business. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. They not only do roofs, they do siding, they do gutters. They're experts in windows. They're the best. That's why they're #1 in Pittsburgh. 1-800-NEW-ROOF is their number. You can give us a call right now on the Borders and Borders hotline, 412-575-2600. We're looking forward to hearing from you. All right. We have a big game coming up on Saturday. But, you know, it's a big football weekend. First weekend of football here, essentially, for, you know, the Steelers. But Pitt and Penn State both played last week. But a good Saturday and Sunday, 8 o'clock game, Pitt-Penn State. That spread has fluctuated. I've seen it as high as 10, down to 7. Now it's at 9. Currently, Penn State's favored. You know, and I actually think Penn State's going to win this game. I think they you know, sleepwalk through the Appalachian State game. I think this is a different story.
Yeah, I think they'll win. I don't know how big they'll win, though. I don't know if they'll cover the line. I think they're the better team, the better program right now. That doesn't mean Pitt can't win. They won here 2 years ago and won a great game. I can't wait. I think the atmosphere at Heinz Field is going to be just incredible. You don't see it sold out for Pitt games. It's going to be sold out. There'll be people everywhere. It should be a great college football night. I don't know what the weather's supposed to be, but I can't wait for it. I'm really looking forward to it, Rich. I think Penn State's a better team, better program, but won't surprise me if Pitt wins.
Yeah, I could see Pitt winning this game. Do you think Penn State did enough to extend this series? I mean, it's a shame it's going to end here.
Did it not? No, I mean, no, it's not. I don't know that it'll ever happen again in my lifetime. You're a lot younger. You may see another renewal. I'm not anticipating one. I wish they'd play. I think it's great for college football in this state. I understand why Penn State isn't. You know, they don't feel like they need Pitt at all, and they don't. Pitt needs Penn State a lot more, but, you know, do what's right for college football in this state. I'd love to see it play.
Yeah, I would too.
But I don't think it's going to be.
Maybe Pitt, West Virginia will make up for it.
That's coming back too.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, let's go out to the phone lines. We're going to go out to Al out in the West End. What's up?
Richie, my man.
Thanks.
Long time, buddy. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for calling, man.
Good. Hey, Mr. Cook, this one's for you. I'm going to take the side of the players and the fans. I think why the players are really upset. Antonio Brown, when he was upset about his contract and he was, you know, all the stuff he does, Antonio Brown reported he didn't do what Le'Veon Bell was doing. As mad as he was, he showed up, and he got his money. Le'Veon Bell should take a page out of Antonio Brown's playbook, and I think he would have got paid. But Antonio Brown showed up. He was mad. He was upset. But he showed up. He balled out, set all those records, and he got paid. Thanks, Mr. Cook. I want to hear your opinion on that. Bye.
Well, I mean, it's a different situation. Antonio had a contract. He had to show up. Le'Veon doesn't have a contract until he signs. So it's two different animals as far as I'm concerned. Now, maybe if he'd have came in on time last year, they'd have worked out a deal for him, but they know what they're going to pay him. He knows what he wants. I don't think they're ever were going to come to a deal whether he came in day one of camp last year, day one of camp this year. And it's not like now he's holding out with a contract. He's not. He's costing himself money now by holding out. So I admire his conviction. I don't know that I would do it if I were him, but I get where he's coming from.
And this is a really weird situation. We can't even guess when he might show up. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason.
Could be tomorrow.
This.
Could be Saturday. Absolutely.
But I mean,
Monday.
I don't see if it's not this week or next week. I mean, I don't see him showing up till
he has to 10 week. Absolutely.
Yep. That's the next time I would expect it. But who knows? I mean, if he wants $855,000, he can show up. That's basically what it comes down to. All right, let's go out to Rick out in Greensburg. What's up, Rick? How you doing?
Hey, Rich, Ron. Good. A non-Bell question about the Steelers. I read that they had about $5 million in cap space, and then they went and restructured Cam Hayward's deal, putting them just over $12 million in cap space. It seemed a little weird at this point in the year. Are we thinking maybe they're making some cap room because they're wanting to bring in somebody on defense? I don't see any other reason why they would need that kind of cap room.
Yeah, you know, I can't explain it either. I'm fascinated by it, just like you are, but who's out there? I mean, somebody did have to trade for somebody. I don't think there's any free agents just sitting out there. There's no Le'Veon Bell that you can bring in. I don't get it either, though. I think it's a very legit question, and I'm baffled by it, too.
Yeah, and you would think they would have done it this week. I mean, are they going to make a move beyond? That's the weird thing. And maybe they don't think he's going to show up, and maybe they're not sold on what they have in the backfield, and there's someone else you can trade
somebody.
for. Yeah.
You got to find somebody, and you got to trade somebody to get somebody.
Yeah, because they obviously can't work out a deal with Le'Veon Bell right now.
It's not like there's a great player out there that's just sitting out there.
No, not a free agent. And you can't even trade Le'Veon Bell until he signs.
Right.
And like we said, who knows when that's going to be. All right, and who's going to, the trade would be tough because who's going to take on a $14.5 million with no guarantee of him signing an extension there?
Yeah, but I think my understanding, and maybe I'm wrong on this, they can give his agent a right to negotiate with another team. They can work out an extension for after this season that's guaranteed, and then trade him, sign him, trade him. He can't get more than the $14.5 million this year. But my understanding is they can still do a long-term deal with him that it goes into effect next year.
Maybe that's something you would consider. I mean, if you're getting 2 first-round draft picks or something like the Khalil Mack thing.
But the side of that is, do you allow a disgruntled player to talk his way out of town?
But he's talking his way out of town with a lot coming back.
What happens if Marquise Pouncey, I'm just using him as an example, he's up after this year, he's got 1 year left. What if he comes to camp next year and says, you know what, I'm not being paid enough, I'm not showing up, trade me?
Yeah, that's a scary.
It opens a bad precedent.
Yes, it does.
For me.
I agree with you. Let's go back out to the phone lines. We're going to go out to Jim out in Bethel Park. What's up, Jim?
Hey, Rich.
What's up?
Question I have is about our tight end situation.
It's a good question.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not good.
Well, I'd like some clarification, okay? All right, we've got, several tight ends. Okay, we've got Jesse James, we got Grimble, and we got Vance McDonald, who, as far as I'm concerned,
is the best of the 3.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 are hurt.
But, he's very fragile. He's been prone to injury consistently. And what good is he for us to keep him around if he's not playable?
Because he's by far better than the other 2, in my opinion. Your point about him not being on the field is a good one, but they're hoping, this foot injury or whatever he's had will heal, and he'll be ready to go. I think he's a really wonderful player, but I'm with you. He gets hurt all the time.
Yeah, and he dropped a lot of balls. He finally woke up later.
I thought he was really good late in the year.
Yes, he was. But, the concern for me is you got 2 out of the 3 that are banged up.
Grimble.
Jalen Samuels they can fill him in that position. He's been practicing with the H-backs a little bit, so they do have some depth there. So maybe you'll see him in that kind of role, but he's not a blocker like Jesse James or Grimble or McDonald.
I like Jesse James, but I think McDonald's a better overall player.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right. Well, we got to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls and some of your tweets maybe coming up next. Stay right there.